Alright, so welcome back to another video on our channel. So in this video I work on improving the dock and also making the second story of my villager house in my world. So while I do that, I want to talk about Google search, or at this point, just trying to find a Reddit thread. So we have all felt it recently. So when we're trying to search for like a specific technical problem, a recipe, or like a fact or something, and you use Google search, but you end up with a bunch of sponsored results, a bunch of AI slop, and the actual information you want is just buried under a bunch of garbage. And it's very frustrating, and that's just the state of Google search at this point. And while I play Minecraft, I want to lay out the cold hard facts of how the most important tool on the internet is arguably now just a digital landfill. So there's the SEO arms race, because the first thing we need to know is that Google is not so much a search engine at this point, it's more of like a battlefield for SEO dominance. So pretty much back in the day, like the early 2010s, if you wrote like a good article on like a topic, Google would find it and just show it to people. It was like a meritocracy. Like if you had the best, like most informative piece on your website, it get pushed. But then arose SEO, search engine optimization. And pretty much through this, marketing companies and people who just want to make money through their website, they realized that they could game the algorithm. Like pretty much they figured out that if you could stuff a page with enough keywords, headers, and just useless garbage that just looks good to like an algorithm, they could trick Google into thinking their page was more informative, and therefore Google like push it up more. And pretty much that's why why a lot of websites now that they just start with a bunch of like garbage or a bunch of like useless information, or it's like a giant paragraph about something that's slightly relevant but not really, because it's just full of keywords to actually signal the Google algorithm that, oh, this might be informative, because now the algorithm, it rewards like engagement and content length. Like pretty much like they're literally holding the information you actually want hostage to all this junk. Like it's kind of unfortunate, and it's reached a point where actual humans just can't compete with this optimized garbage. Like sounds kind of counterintuitive, optimized garbage, but that's what it is at this point. A genuine expert might write like a concise, like on a 100 word answer to a question, but an SEO farm will just hire like a ghostwriter, or at this point use like AI to pretty much just turn that same answer into an ultimate guide with a bunch of subheadings and FAQ and zero soul. And Google sees this giant absolute corpse article and thinks, wow, this has to be important, while the actual answer just gets pushed into the never-ending abyss. But now we're in the AI slop era, because SEO was just the beginning, because now we're in the final boss of this phenomenon. Because pretty much, if you search for anything in the last like 6 months to a year, I believe, you've seen that AI overview at the top of the search, like the search page. And Google is desperate to stay relevant in the AI race, and they pretty much just stapled a hallucinating chatbot to the top of their search results. And the problem is that like AI doesn't know facts. Like I'm not going to go into a whole detail how AI works, but pretty much it works by like predicting the next word in a sequence based on like what it's trained on. Like it just tries to predict like what to say next, and it's trained on the entire internet. But the thing is that the internet is full of misinformation and random stuff. So based on that, the results can be problematic at times. Like I'm not even joking. Like one time in class, like my homeboy tried to ask the Google chatbot, like he typed something like crazy, and I remember it was telling him something along the lines of like zebras live in Greenland. And I can confidently tell you, unless something crazy has happened, that zebras do not live in Greenland. So that that AI overview is not exactly the most accurate out there. And like we've seen like reports, like I have my own experience, but like people like I remember like a funny instance is that there's like a joke Reddit thread or something about like I think it's like using like glue to keep cheese on a pizza. Like I remember seeing like a report about that, and Google AI suggested that that's an actual valid idea. Like no. And that's the thing, like this Google AI, since it's trained on the internet, it will take things like memes and jokes and just regurgitate it as like facts, when that is just not the case at all. And and there's probably some stupid people out there who genuinely do believe this. And the worst part is that this AI results are cannibalizing the actual websites that provided the information in the first place. Like why would you click a link to a humble person's tech blog if Google's AI could just give you a potentially wrong summary? Like the issue is you don't click, the blog doesn't get no ad revenue, and the blogger stops writing, and then suddenly the AI has nothing left to learn from except its own previous mistakes. So it's kind of like a cycle, like it's like a loop as well. And let's talk about the sponsored issue. Like, pretty much like Google Ads, like a while ago, they were like a yellow tinted box at the top that was clearly separate from real results. Like, it was easy to tell what was actually a Google ad. But now the sponsor label was like a tiny gray font that just blends perfectly into the UI. And like sometimes you have to scroll like a bunch just to see like a non-paid result. Like, it's very deceptive, honestly. And at this point, Google isn't incentivized to give you the best result. They want to give you the result that pays them the most. Like, if I search for something like, I don't know, best keyboard, I'm not going to get a list of the actual like, best keyboard. I'm going to get a list of the companies with the biggest keyboard marketing budget that week. And it's turned, the act of searching more into like an act of like filtering. Like we spend personally like more time dodging like scams and ads than actually reading and learning information through Google search. Like, it's kind of like trying to find like a specific book in a library when librarians like being like paid by a publisher to like promote their own specific book, which probably sucks. Like, it's kind of like that. And the most telling sign that Google is broken is the fact that we've all just started using like Reddit at this point. Like, at this point, like, you just search for like the red result. Like, for example, like, instead of searching like how to fix my PC fans, you would search for that same term but with Reddit at the end. Because we at this point, like, we know that Google's own result is going to be like a collection of like just like actual slop, like sponsored PC fans. Like, it's not going to give you like the actual solution. While Reddit actually contains real human beings actually talking about their real problems, and most importantly, their real solutions. Like, we have like literally abandoned the engine part of the search engine and just using it to find like specific forums where SEO bots aren't roaming. And when the most powerful tech company cannot provide like better answers than like some random Redditor named like, I don't know what's a Reddit username. I'm not gonna try to make one up, but when like a Reddit thread from like 10 years ago provides a more specific answer, you know that the system has failed you. So why don't they fix it? Why doesn't Google just stop? Why don't they ban the SEO farms? Why don't they kill the AI overuse? Well, the answer is very simple. It's simply just money. Like, Google is a public company, like, beholden to the stakeholders. Like, they need that line to go up. Like, if they make, search too efficient, they lose ad impressions. They need you to stay on the page, and they need you to scroll. And they need you to, like, click a bunch of sponsor links before you actually find the truth. Like, they're in, like, a dilemma because they spent, like, a long time building, like, a really good search engine tool. But now they have to destroy it because engagement is a better metric for the shareholders than actual value to the end user. So, yeah, that's just like, my rant for today. So, pretty much at this point, the internet, it's a lot more like, bloated. Like, back in the olden days, the internet felt like a vast frontier where information was like a few, keystrokes away. But like at this point, it just feels like a strip mall where every store is selling the exact same overpriced junk, and like the cashiers are like all like AI hallucinations at this point. Like, Google search is officially like a legacy product. Like, we don't use it because like it's good, but just because it's what everyone's used to, and because Google has like a monopoly right now on like the whole search engine place. Like, I will tell you that there are alternatives out there. Like, there's DuckDuckGo, not Ecosia. Like, there's also StartPage. StartPage is also good. I know Kagi also is like Kagi, like Orient browser. Like, there's alternatives out there. Let me tell you that. Like, y'all gotta tap into those because there are, definitely search engines that are, actually trying to still serve you value in this day and age. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you have anything, let me know. Just drop a comment. And yeah, just stay away from, from those AI over results. Like, do not listen to them. There are no zebras in Greenland. See ya.